Alright, so this is something a little bit different for me because I have practically zero dirt experience aside from the majors race we did last year at, I think it was Knoxville. Again in 410 Sprint Car, but really all I did then was I just used the toolkit setup. But as it turns out, somebody I started working with this year for the Peak Series, Ashton, has some experience with these. And I've been wanting to kind of get some sort of dirt content out for a while, and this seemed a decent opportunity to do something along that score. So what the plan is let me just let me bring up the notepad. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so let me make that a bit bigger. So the plan is to pretty much go through all the kind of races that you might end up having to do in the majors series this weekend. Obviously, we've got the main one, which would be the feature, and that's actually I think going to be weirdly the easiest setup of them because that's just a straight 40 lap race, and the track state starts at 0 or pretty close to 0. I know that for sure it gets reset, so that's gonna kind of make it a lot easier because this thing gets really difficult to drive in the high track states, kind of as we saw last year with the same league. Pretty much as you would go through the heats, it would get worse and worse and worse, and the absolute worst races were the consolation ones. So that's why for those we're gonna do the 25 lap set in 75% usage, and that's probably gonna be the hardest one to do just because of how bad the track's gonna be at that point. We're also going to do the heat setup, and we're going to do that at kind of 50% usage, pretty much the same as qualifying. Kind of hits up two things at the same time. We picked 50 for that just because that seems, I don't want to say reasonable, but I think there's six heats, or it's either 6 or 8 heats. So just kind of ballparked it as 50 in the middle, just so that it's not terrible in the later heats, and it's also, I mean, pretty much anything close to 0, the car's kind of easy to drive. It's only when the track gets wore out where you start to really struggle. So hopefully it'll kind of cover everything with that. And then we'll also run through the Q set. Now, what I didn't know about this car is that there's actually not really that much you can do. And I'll kind of show that now. If we go to the garage screen, you can see that pretty much all we've got is air pressures and staggers, pretty much like any other short track car, so that's pretty normal. But then we go to the chassis page, and we've got a decent amount of options regarding like steering ratio and that kind of thing. So you got the box ratio and the pitman arm length. That's really just the two of those combined is just the equivalent to the normal ratio that you'll get in pretty much any short track car. So that's really one adjustment, just with kind of two ways to do it. The track state isn't going to reset for the feature. Is it not? So it's going to be like super slick. All right, well, fine. We'll figure that out. That's gonna, yeah, that'll make that interesting. I thought it was just because of how like the heat sessions work in terms of how they always have that 5 minute warm up. We'll see. We'll see on that. I'll probably at the end then run the one that we make for 40 lap in this, in the same thing. But yeah, I guess that'll be a struggle. We have wing angle options as well as top wing position. Top wing position is an in-car adjustable. You definitely want to map that because it is helpful. It's helpful pretty much in going. Kind of trying to think of a good way of explaining this. Pretty much as the track wears out, you're gonna want to move top wing position, and it's gonna help you kind of deal with any handling issues as best you can. And the reason I say that is because it's pretty much going to be out of control when the track wears out anyway. But the wing position helps you a little bit with that. In terms of springs and stuff, don't really have a lot. You've only really got torsion bar diameters for all 4 corners, and the torsion bar stop pretty much works as ride height adjustment the same way as, say, spring perch offset does. We'll get to that kind of as There's a couple of things on this car which I'm told are pretty much set and forgets, and when we kind of come to that, we'll explain those a little bit. A couple of shock adjustments. Again, only two, only bump and rebound. A little bit interesting stuff on the left rear where you've got what I'm assuming is pretty much just a bump stop adjustment, only on one corner. Don't know why. Really don't know a lot about dirt cars, but hey, it's something. Although I'm told that that's pretty much just set and forget. And then we've got wheel spacing. Wheel spacing and fuel and rear end ratio. So yeah, really not a lot of stuff that we could do. And we will do a 20 lap run on the fixed. Now I know for the 40 lap run, we're going to want about 27 gallons. I'm pretty sure we can do it with less than that, with yellows and so on, and that kind of deal. But I'll put it in there just because I don't want people running out. And there's the lap sheet, by the way. So we're going to do 20 lap runs because we talked a little bit about this pre-stream, and Ashton, you kind of said to me that there's not really any need to do full runs to get an idea of whether any changes that you're going to do is going to work.
Yeah. Really all bases off of how much fuel you have in the car. So if you're starting at 27, the real handling problems are going to be from 27 down to like 18 gallons. So you don't really have to do a ton of laps to get a good idea.
Your car still has that, what's it on it? The frame.
Oh no, the wireframe. Oops.
Now, we are kind of worried a little bit about how the track's just going to instantly wear out in these sessions, so we've got a couple up and we'll have to transition between them. That is going to mess with lap times a bit. And because of that, the lap sheet's going to be a bit difficult to get a read on.
Yeah, the tracks wear out really fast, so
yeah, I mean,
we just have to pick and choose your data.
We messed with this a little bit last night and just doing 2-car runs, I think. What is it? Like 80 laps in, pretty much the regular line was gone.
Yeah, we were dead on the wall.
So like with it being start this at 0, and you can see it's pretty easy right now. You can kind of run the bottom without really any problems. But that will go away almost instantaneously. Also, you definitely want to map a button for tear-offs. Because if you don't, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Dude, you get pelted for it when you're in like 10th place. Crazy.
Now, given that there's not really many things that you can change in this car, that kind of means that there's not really a lot you can do for certain handling problems. Like, it's gonna be hard to drive pretty much no matter what when it slicks off.
13.62. Yeah, like you can mess with the top wing position and trunk it, you know, put it more negative, but you kind of just have to deal with it, sadly and thankfully, depending on what side you're on.
Well, I mean, you were talking to me a little bit about wing positions and whatnot. You want to kind of explain them a touch?
Yeah, so top wing, further back you go, like that's gonna make you tighter, but the actual wing position, most cases you just you want them negative. I've just room for less drag, but if it gets really bad, a track like this, where you're on the wall, you can get away with running more degrees. I think I have a setup where it's like 26, but you don't really want to overdo it because you'll kill your straight line speed.
Pretty much in general, though, like, run as little wing as you can, right?
Yeah, for sure. Little as you can get away with. Same goes for the top, like the top wing position. If you can get away with running 0, that's always going to be the best.
13.91.
Also, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it, man. I know we've said like the wing's pretty much minimum. So are we kind of saying that if we can get away with running the wings flattened out as much as possible and the top wing position at 0, that's pretty much what we should go for?
For sure, yeah. It's really hard to get that to work, but that would be the most optimal way to go about it.
As you can see, Ashton is much better on dirt than I am.
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
13.5.
You can kind of see the tracks already sort of changing, even though we've only got 26 laps down for me, and I think probably less than 15 for you. What we discovered last night was that you start off on the bottom, and then the middle comes in a little bit, and then after that you pretty much want to go right to the wall. So I'm assuming that by the time we get to the 40 lap feature, we're pretty much going to be all up on the roll, or trying to find anywhere that hasn't been used. I guess would be another way of looking at it.
13.5.
I would say wall would be the fastest efficient.
Alright, we've done 20 by the way. Now I did not know that the track was not getting reset for the feature, so that might change our plans a little bit. But the majority of this car is kind of set and forget, which I know is a bit contrary to kind of what I'm trying to do here, but it kind of just is that way. So that's unfortunate, but at least if we can sort of give people the set and forgets to start at, then you can kind of go from there. Also, hi, by the way. Sorry, I just didn't have a chance to... Now, I guess I should log that 20 first. In terms of weather, do you reckon that weather really plays a big part in any kind of setup changes, or do you think it's pretty much one kind of fits all and it's more track state?
I would say track state. I've never done real testing with weather, but anytime that I've worked with, like, say, Leonardi or Bergeron, like, you know, they never said anything about weather, so I always assumed that it didn't really matter. But it might change how bad, like how slick it gets or something, but setup wise, it's not really a factor.
Yeah, so in terms of times, it is going to be hard to get a read on if we're actually getting improvements, just because of how the track state influences it quite significantly. But I will kind of put them in there anyway, just in case. So, kind of starting out on the first. I don't want to call this set and forget, but it kind of is. Do you want to say a little bit in terms of staggers and air pressures?
Yeah, so air pressures basically max. Well, max all the way around except the left front sometimes. You can get away with running 11, but I'm going to put it at 12 just because it more than likely will be faster. But stagger, I don't think we've ever ran front stagger. It turns the car too much, and the goal of this car, for me anyways, is locking up the front end to where you can't really turn it, and it'll just do its own thing and drive through the corner straighter. You can adjust rear stagger though for handling. And for Eldora, I'd say about 12.5 would be good. You could probably go up to 14, but I feel like that'd make it too loose when it gets slick.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at adjustment ranges and so on, there isn't really much in the first, well, to begin with, really. You can only go from 8 to 12 in terms of left side air, which is kind of, well, say left side, left front. There's pretty much a 4 pound change you can make on all corners, so there's really not a lot you can do in terms of air. Front stagger, you can only go between 0 and 1. Rear is pretty much where you've got the most adjustment, being able to go from 8 to 14. Now, to kind of add to what Ashton was saying in terms of front stagger, that's pretty much the conclusion I came to when driving this car, is that you want the car to track its own line through the corner, and any adjustments that you're making to the wheel is just going to slow you down, especially if you're having to counter any kind of slide, which sounds weird because the car is pretty much always in a slide, but it's always in kind of its own sort of attitude and slide, if that makes sense. So if you the way I'm kind of seeing it is that the more you're able to drive around the track with the wheel pretty much as straight as possible, the faster you're going to be, because the less amount of corrections you're going to make. And in terms of the super, when we've looked at front stagger before, we've kind of found that does help the car turn, and it does help the car turn in. But that's also not what we want here. We don't want the car to over rotate on entry. We kind of want the car to be as tight as possible, where it still gets around the track without us having to steer it, which kind of sounds weird. But if you watch like the onboard and whatnot, the fastest laps are pretty much always the ones where they've got the minimum amount of input going on. So in terms of tires, that's pretty much it. I reckon there's maybe something to be gained by adjusting the rear stagger maybe a ½ inch at a time and just seeing what suits you. In terms of air pressures, I'm not really surprised that kind of the maximums make sense here. Now, I know it's dirt, and I know that real life everybody runs really, really low pressures. Gotta go sleep. Can I watch the stream tomorrow from Twitch? Yeah, you can. It'll be in the stored VODs for like 3 months or something, I think. So you can definitely watch it back on Twitch. If you can't watch it back on Twitch, then it'll also be a YouTube video. So don't worry, like it won't disappear. Anyway, back to the staggers and air pressures. In terms of the air pressures, it doesn't really surprise me that the maximums are kind of where we want to be. And the reason for that is, if you look through all the iRacing cars, I know we've said on road and everything that pretty much you always want to be down near the minimums. A lot of the minimums are around about anywhere between 16 and 20 pounds for road cars. And even some of the oval stuff, when you take it to road, say things like the truck and the cup car and so on, you can go down to about 16, 17 pounds in those. And it's at that end of the spectrum where you start to notice that the tire goes a little bit weird. And even though running those low air pressures might be better on ultimate long run pace, it's sometimes not where you want to be for hot lap. So it doesn't surprise me that, I mean, the tires are more equal than they are different, even though it's dirt versus road and so on and so on. It doesn't surprise me that when you're working at, say, like 12 pounds and so on, that it kind of wants more. It kind of wants to actually be higher than that. So, it sounds weird, but I sort of understand, and that's why I guess I would say just put a max. Now, in terms of wing angle, we've said we pretty much want them flattened out. So, we'll go 22 and 24. And we'll start the top wing as far forward as we can. And now, I'll probably do another quick run of 20 on that, just to see what the handling is like.
Same 4.
So it should be quicker, just on the basis that the wings are more flattened out, so we'll have less drag.
Yeah, that seems to be the big contributing factor. This car's drag versus downforce. Pretty interesting if you think about it, considering it's on dirt.
Yeah. And also kind of intriguing given that these cars have massive wings that we're actually trying to trim them out as much as possible.
Yeah. Weird.
13.
But
Very bizarre.
I'm gonna move mine back a bit. Now I feel really loose.
Yeah, I'm at -6.
Also, you can map a control for that, so I definitely would do.
13.82.
Removing the top wing position, that is.
Yeah, I keep my black box on the in-car adjustment so I can change it, but
13.
definitely would be easier to just have a few buttons go back and forth with. To have a dial like I have.
Yeah. Well, I use, the way I have mine set up is with sequential shifter,
13.
where I just have one way is being up and one way is down.
That's pretty awesome, not gonna lie.
It works surprisingly well. I would definitely say if you do have the same like ability to do that,
13.67.
then do so. Because it's something that's easily within reach, and like directionally you don't have to mess around with it, you just pull or push.
.7.
Got wiped out.
.75.
This is definitely gonna get wild when the track really wears out.
Dude, it's gonna be insane. Because Eldora always goes to the top, or our Eldora, because we have like the old banking, I'm pretty sure, but
13.72.
once it gets up on the fence, you basically can't pass. Slider City. Crazy.
I mean, at least if it goes to the top and everybody's pulling sliders, I can kind of get on board with that a bit. It's more if it starts with everybody on the bottom, it'll be very hard to pass.
Oh yeah.
.78.
But a lot of this does pretty much seem to come down to being in the right place on the track at the right time.
13.57.
I mean, that is the fun part of dirt, is picking the
It's a
right
lot of
line. It's almost
searching.
like, yeah, it's almost like picking the right tire in Formula 1 or something.
13.68.
A lot of strategy involved. Split-second decision.
And it is difficult to
13.6.
kind of run perfectly. Like, this is getting harder the longer we run, the more we wear the track out.
He'll get even harder once he gets full slick and like an inch from the wall.
Yeah.
Get good.
So even in those scenarios, do you reckon that you want to change the top wing position, or?
Yeah,
13.5.
if you're on the wall, the way that I always did it, so when it's tacky like this, drag matters a lot. But once it gets super slick and it's all about keeping full throttle and being committed, that kind of goes out the window really. It's all about having the most stability and downforce. So I would, if it goes full slick, I'd be at -10 immediately.
13.72.
There's ain't slick at all, honestly. Gotta pick your spots, I guess.
13.67.
And I guess this is a lot of risk with running the right rear right on the wall, even though it is fast.
For sure. I mean, Steve Larson, like the old package and such, like Homestead, I always talk about how big of a risk it is to run it, but it makes you faster. Just one mistake will catch you out really, really quickly and race is done. So
13.69.
just risk versus reward, I guess.
We've done 20, by the way.
Before.
Yeah. So you'll probably see in terms of times. I feel like definitely for me at the beginning of that I was slower, and the reason for that is that I couldn't run right on the bottom like I was at the start of the previous run. That said, I think towards the end of the run I was actually quicker. Pull that across. So that was no front. I'm not gonna be able to fit all this in the box. I'm just gonna put low down, full slow stagger. And I'm gonna put note as to when the time was. Let me zoom in this sheet a bit. Otherwise, it's like super hard for everybody to read. Now, I know we spoke a little bit about wings and tires and so on. Now, there's the usual camber adjustment that I normally mess with in basically everything these days is not here. So that's kind of one tool that you won't have. But that's also one less thing that you need to screw around with. Now, one thing I don't understand really at all, because I've never seen it on any car, I get the idea behind it, but I don't know really what to do with it, is the wheel spacing. Do you mind saying a little bit on that, Ashton, whilst I just type in time?
For sure. So that's one of those settings where it's really plug and play most of the time. I've never been successful with anything other than a 1350 left rear wheel spacing. Right rear wheel spacing, most of the time you want to run that from minimum to like 17.5, but I don't really know what it does to the car. It's just one of those things where you kind of just adjust it for speed, and if it affects handling, then don't really want to say so be it, but kind of just how it is. Like the wing angles, really. Like a speed adjustment almost. Like Stagger in a Super, I'd say. Where you can either get it really good or really wrong.
I mean, that's pretty much kind of how I understand it, in the sense of that the more you space out the right rear, especially, the more it's kind of gonna loosen the car up, because you're kind of giving that tire more advantage to pretty much turn you.
Yeah. Say that's the goal with these cars is just taking away every turning aspect. And just locking it up in general. Going straighter is faster.
So we're actually like a quarter second slower that run, but the majority of that is going to be the fact that the track was completely different by the time we went and did it, and that's going to make it difficult in general to get a good idea of where you are in terms of dirt. And I feel like that does apply pretty much to all dirt series. I know when I messed around a little bit with the late models, that was the same case there. It's just difficult to get a read on where you are in terms of speed without kind of running multiple setups against one another. Like at the same time with drivers who are pretty much the same kind of skill.
Yeah, if the setup feels like it has more drive off, that usually means it's faster, and if it's easier to drive, it's usually faster, so one of those cars where you kind of just have to base it off of handling, and most of the time they'll gain you enough speed.
I'm gonna put my top wing. I'm gonna put my starting top wing position at -5 just so it's in the middle when we save it and send it.
Info.
Now, in terms of wheel spacing, typing in times, I think you said 16.5 on the right.
I would just put 16 at minimum.
And then left.
13.5.
Now, the way I understand that is that kind of as I said before, that with the wheel spacing, you sort of shift in. I mean, yeah, it's wheel spacing, so you're forcing the wheels further out, and the wider you make that, especially on the right rear, the way I can see it in theory, less so in practice, just because it's not. This really is kind of out of my realms of knowledge. The way I would think it would work is that the bigger that gap is, the more advantage you're giving the right rear to turn the car. So it makes sense to me that the narrower you make that, the less advantage the right rear has. So the tighter the car should be. And as we were kind of saying, that it really seems to be a game of getting the car to be as tight as possible without being so tight that you have to put additional input in to turn it. I think would be the best way I could say it.
Exactly. Really well said.
Now, in terms of this bump rubber rate thing, you said that was definitely a set and forget when we talked about it.
Yeah. Same with the Packer too, just max.
Yeah. So the fix already has that in there, and you've got really minimal adjustment anyway. You got more adjustment on the shim, but the bump rubber is pretty much so I wouldn't touch that. And this is where this car is a problem, because usually we have like loads of things where we can run through tons of tests and stuff, and on this there's really kind of, I don't want to say nothing, because it does, like, everything does stuff, but the adjustment ranges on everything is really small, and the things that you can change, there's just not many of. So we've done the wheel spacing change. Now, torsion bar wise, it is kind of a similar thing, where we were talking about it last night, and you were saying to me that pretty much the right rear is the adjustment in terms of balance, and everything else you just want to kind of wind up and bind up.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
So again, on those, I guess we're gonna go to 1.05 on all, like left front, right front, left rear, and then we'll put the right rear at 1, because one's in the middle. Again, the ranges are really small. You've only got between 0.95 and 1.05.
Yeah, it's almost like a Miata setting up, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. But again, it comes back to us trying to get the car to pretty much just not steer on its own more than it needs to, and this is gonna do that by having pretty much every spring but the right rear as high as possible. It's gonna act the same way as it would on, say, a short track car or even a normal big oval car. That having higher left rear spring is gonna make you tighter. Having higher right front spring is gonna make you tighter. About the only one that is a grey area is the left front, to me.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just gonna go to 1.05 on all of those, and we're gonna leave the right rear at 1. Now, torsion bar stops is pretty much your only ride height adjustment in this car. And again, this is another kind of intriguing one, but we're gonna leave it as what it was to start with and just do another run.
Yeah, so
no, sorry, go.
with the torsion bars, like with the max at the front end, the way that I think about it is you kind of want to move the aero balance rearward. So any way you can do that, the better. And having the bars at that just basically props the front end up and sends it and gets you a lot of rear grip.
Yeah, pretty much as we were saying, that's just going to make the thing as tight as possible by having as much front spring in as we can, and then having that left rear up as well. Pretty much having the left rear up, and then using the right rear to... You can think about these. I know they're torsion bars and so on, but they work the same... Like, fundamentally, they're just a spring, so you can think about it the same as any other coil spring. I know it's I know like as it's installed in the car, it's different, but realistically, a spring is a spring is a spring. So this is really determining the spring split like you would in any other oval car. It's just you've got way less adjustment on it. So we're gonna go out with this 1.05 in all three corners except the right rear where we're gonna have one. Let me just share that to you, Ashton. Oh, you'll want to change the pitman arm length, because I found that I like having 11. I know that 9 and 12 is like the fastest steering possible. For whatever reason, I like having 11 on the pitman arm. It just feels nicer to me.
Yeah, I wish you could get a faster steering box, but not really possible. Because I find that I'm turning way too much.
Really?
Going into a corner, I'll like whip the wheel back and forth and start sliding really hard.
Alright. You can lead.
Nah.
But yeah, so sorry if it kind of seems like everything is kind of a bit clicky and set and forgets in this. I kind of didn't realize it would be like that when I said I was going to do it. But I think that really just comes down to having so few options available to you.
Yeah, it's very restrictive, but it's really the charm for me. Like building setups for these cars. There's not much you can do, so fields are going to be super tight no matter what.
Yeah, it is way more restrictive than I thought it would be, to be totally honest. I was actually kind of surprised, because I really have never looked at the garage page of these cars. So when I saw, like, there was very little that you could do, I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah. It's a culture shock coming from, like, NASCAR.
Well, yeah, when you come from Cup and that, and literally everything in Cup, you can pretty much change. But the only thing you can't change in Cup is the aero configs.
Yeah. I mean, we have we have travel limiters now, or a travel limiter in the right rear that we use sometimes. So like, yeah, crazy. 13.72.
Definitely feels easier to drive this run compared to the last one.
13.84. Feels more pointy. For me, anyways.
13.91.
I still kind of feel like it turns a little bit too much on its own on entry.
Yeah, I feel the same. It's not terrible, but
13.78.
I'm in the wall hard.
Yeah.
Get
Outside. Clear.
There you go. You can adjust that out, definitely go faster. Because you're spinning the tire, basically, the right rear, and that's always going to lose you speed.
You can kind of feel the car go dead anytime you go through like a change in sort of the surface.
You can't you?
I noticed in M1, if I kind of cut through the middle, the nose just goes dead.
Yeah. There's definitely a lightness to it.
13.77. .81.
Yeah, I did have a bunch of different sessions set up for this, but given that apparently the track doesn't reset at all, I'm thinking it might be wise to just stay in this one and just make changes based on that, because we're kind of, I know there's only two of us, but we're doing what we can to sort of replicate how the heats might play out. We did start with a fresh track.
Yeah, just 2 cars alone. It,
13.
in a realism standpoint, it really shouldn't be like this, but 2 cars alone, like, you can tear up a track really well. Just take a little bit longer to get the same result, but you can still get there.
13.76.
At the moment, I'm just really trying to get the right rear like as close to the wall as I go.
Where the speed is.
In terms of passing, is there any kind of technique that you would say people can practice? Other than big sliders?
Can I quote James Hunt?
Yeah.
Big balls. Really it. Like, there's a reason why people didn't particularly like Alex Bergeron's driving style on oval, like asphalt oval.
But he's really good on dirt.
Yeah, to be successful on dirt, you have to do things that
like that.
Yeah, that are considered dumb.
And yeah, I was gonna say the kind of person that's you have to let people in. Like, it sounds crazy, but if somebody pulls that move on you, it's my car is just bouncing here. But it's part of the racing. It would kind of be considered doing people dirty in basically any other kind of racing, because you're just kind of coming straight up in front of them, chopping them off while going really slow. But in terms of dirt stuff, it's just how it is. So if people do that, you just gotta lift, and you kind of not gotta get mad, because that's literally just how the racing is, and that's how you pass.
Yeah, like, it's weird to say, but it's almost the more dirty, the better on dirt. Like, if you throw a really bad slider, obviously, like, that's bad. Like, if you just come up and kill someone, that's not okay. But if you throw it in there and give them at least a car length and a half or so, I would say that's okay. You have to give the guy behind you enough room to pull a crossover, and if you don't, it's more than likely going to end up with both of you guys in a fence, and that's never fun.
I'm trying to kind of get the naming as easy as I can to fit in the text box. And again, in terms of times, you gotta appreciate that the track is getting worse with every single lap we're doing. So you do have to take it in context of the balance of the car. And the balance for me right there felt definitely better. I don't know whether it came across on stream, but I felt like I would have a lot less wheel input, which is pretty much always a good thing. And to be honest, that's true for every car. The less wheel input you have to use, the faster you're gonna be.
Yeah, I always found that if you can turn left and like consistently be turning left on entry with the sprint car, really anything under late model included, you're gonna go faster, and that's definitely a step in the right direction. But if we're within, I would say 2/10 of what we were running on the runs before on that run, I would say it was definitely an improvement, which I believe we were.
Pretty close. Might be just outside of that, actually. Depends on the lap. I did run the top the entire time. Like, I was slower. Like, a lot slower. But it definitely felt better, so I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, I was able to run sixes with the slider line.
Okay.
And to get some context of what that is, because now we should probably mention that. Slider line is basically you're pulling a slide job on yourself to cut the track and basically making it like a square almost. And you just want to drive in as straight as possible, get to the wall, and then drive straight off. And you're basically just making a longer straightaway. And As long as it's not completely slick and all wall, that line will or can and will work. Just you have to hit it perfectly without spinning your right rear tire.
Yeah, when
Really,
we
all
were
this car is.
well, when we were talking about this last night and we were doing a little bit of practice and that, he was trying to demonstrate this to me, and it's pretty much when the track is fresh, it's kind of run really smooth arcs, and then when it wears out, it seems to be like kind of like what he was saying. You want to square off the corners, but you want to square it off without really like ragging the wheel to do it. You kind of just want to get the car to do it itself, and the slider line that he was demonstrating, and we'll kind of grab an onboard at some point. I mean, Ashton, is there any particular lap that you would say was good? That you
Out of the last run?
Yeah, I reckon 79 where you ran a 698 is worthwhile looking at.
I would look at the 63 on lap 73.
Okay.
I think that was my fastest.
I'll go back. Yeah, so you can kind of see, like, turns in and then slides all the way to where the riding on the wall is. And then in 3. It's like he drives the track almost like it's a triangle. But can you see how it's still kind of smooth? Like he's not ragging on the wheel to do it. It's just the entry of the corner is what's predominantly different.
Yeah, but there is a downside to that line though. So if somebody's on the outside of you, that line becomes incredibly dangerous, as if you're still watching, you'll probably see here soon. You start finding yourself being insanely close to the guy on the outside on the exit of the corner, and with, you know, since we're racing over the internet, that can turn into really bad netcode and send both of you guys flying, which this happened to me for my fair share of times. But as long as you have nobody on your outside, that line is definitely the preferred way to go. I think it picks up a 10th and a half. You hit it right?
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
In terms of marker points, definitely a 1. You want to be coming up by the red writing on the wall. 3 and 4 is a bit more vague because there's no paint on the wall in a place that's really useful to you. It'll be a bit contextual though, because it'll depend on who's around you in the race and so on, as to whether you can get away with that. Now, gonna leave the springs and everything as they were, but gonna adjust the torsion bar stops. Now, on this, it's pretty much a case of we're still wanting to get the car to be tighter. So the lower we can have the rear and the higher we can have the front is going to do that, because we're going to take more rake out of the car, kind of as we did with GT cars. And pretty much the way to do that is to... This almost does feel like it's an inverted GT car to me. Because in those, I always feel like I'm trying to get them to turn. Whereas in this, it feels like I'm trying to get it to not turn. If that makes sense.
Not turning equals grip, so yes. That's a really interesting way to think about it, but yeah, that's very true.
And pretty much the way to do that is to literally go maximum inverted rake. So all the way to 3, like +3 on the front, right, and -3 on the rear.
Now the rear torsion bar stops. Once it goes like full wall and you're on the cushion, sometimes you can adjust the rear, or sometimes you need to adjust the rear ride height to get it from just absolutely plowing through the cushion.
Right.
That's very rare, but it can happen sometimes, and it's best to just understand that could happen.
So it is possible to actually be too tight. Is that kind of what we're saying?
No, it's just you're bottoming out, which causes you to go straight.
Right.
So sometimes you have to raise the rear end up to not bottom out. That's why you run the bump rubber and the packer where it is, because if you don't run it there, the car just completely bottoms out. And there's no chance for you to have grip.
But in terms of front, you pretty much always run it as high as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Any way to get it higher, you would want to do.
So for the rear, do you reckon we want to give some adjustment and maybe go to 2.5, or should we just start as 3? Because this track's gonna be dead by the end of this race.
Yeah, I'd say 2.5 would be good.
Okay.
I wouldn't go any more than 2.25.
So pretty
my-
much
my experience.
-3 is where you want to be if you can on rear, and
Mhm.
you can go up to -2.25, but not higher.
Yeah, and the good thing is if you like do symmetrical clicks on both sides, well, yeah, your cross weight won't change, so you don't have to worry about anything failing. It's just raising and lowering. So
And I mean, in terms of
simple.
crossweight, I know we haven't really said anything on it yet, but is there kind of really anything we can do with cross on these cars just because of how fine the adjustment ranges are? Or are we pretty much is cross just end up being a function of what we've got, really?
Most of the time it is a function of what you got, but you can adjust it. And I've never found success while adjusting it because you have to change the torsion bar stop, and that just gives away a lot of speed. But
Okay.
I would say in most cases, the higher the cross weight, the better you'll probably do when it comes to a slick track, or yeah, a slick track. But if it's tacky, definitely want to have minimum cross weight
If you can get to it.
if you can get it. Yeah,
And in
which
terms of adjusting that, would you kind of always use the rear torsion bar stops to get there with that?
oh yeah,
You would always leave the front at this kind of the 1.05 and the 3 and this. I mean, we haven't talked about the bump and the rebound stiffness, but the fix that she has, what you were telling me, was pretty much the best in terms of front shocks of 6 and 3.
Mhm. Yeah, I know there's some people that really adjust on their shocks, but I've always found front end at least that 6.3 is the best and inverted on the rear, and I don't think anybody really challenges that theory of that being correct, but
Well, I mean, the left rear on this is 3 and 7. Would you change that on the
uh
shock?
yeah, left rear would be 3 and 9. That's the interesting part is I found that you can go faster changing those around,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so minuscule, and most of the time it causes the car to bounce that
Well, I did
kind of just
notice that. That kind of when we stopped, like when I stopped on track one time, the nose bounced for what felt like ever.
yeah, it this car, I don't know if it does this in real life, but it has what feels like 0 pound springs all around, or like a 10 pound spring all around. That's like jacked way up. It just
Right.
goes crazy. Um, yeah, I feel like if you could get that out of the car, you'd go faster, but I've never been able to do it, sadly.
So I mean, kind of at this point, like we'll do one more run on this. Well, not one more run, but we'll do a run on this again in a second. We're kind of at the point as to where, like, sounds weird, but this is kind of the de facto sort of baseline, as you were telling me, in terms of where you always want to start with this car. That this is pretty much these are the known points,
Yeah.
right?
hmm Yeah, we've been using this kind of setup, minus the torsion bars, for I think since Dirt came out. Uh, I know the front torsion bars, like they've changed over time, and I think people have started to figure out now, which I could be totally wrong on all of this, but just basing on how it drives, I don't really feel like I am. Uh, but yeah, we found over time that running them at max gives you negative rake pretty much, and that's that's what you want.
And I mean that should give you more straight line speed as well, because you run in the wings at an even flatter angle.
You know, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's true. So,
Which I guess I feel like for Eldora strikes me as pretty much like the Daytona of dirt in terms of just how big the track is. 'Cause this is a massive track. In terms of dirt tracks, this place is huge.
yeah, and it's wide too.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm never off the throttle. Like, I know I'm gonna be in the slicker tracks and so on. Okay, Ashton Garrett saying, we've always went up on rear torsion diameter for slicker tracks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that doesn't make sense, I guess. Yeah, it does.
I
Just
mean,
binding the car up more.
yeah, I mean, I'm at max on left rear. My right rear I've just put as the midpoint. Now, see, I was thinking that the slicker you would actually go down on the right rear. Am I wrong on that?
That would give you more travel, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
So yeah, you'd go the other way.
See, that's odd to me, because on like a normal pavement car, narrowing up the spring split will pretty much always make you tighter.
Hmm. Well, I wish I could explain this like properly, but it seems the way dirt works, you want the stiffest spring possible when you're looking for traction.
Okay. So
And
that kind of is the opposite of pavement, because pretty much everything on pavement is always having as soft a spring as you can.
yeah, I I don't know if that's how it is in real life though, which is the problem, I guess. But just have to do some research at some point and figure it
Yeah.
out. But
Well, we'll try this, and we'll do a run on this, and then we'll kind of go from there, I guess. You still
yeah,
gotta
cool.
do some changes for 15 lap, 25 lap, and a Q set. So the Q set we definitely will go to another server, because the Q set is a fixed thing. Yeah, Garrett said again. He said that I've always found more grip with maxed out right rear wheel spacing and least lap. None of this is real life stuff. Yeah, I agree. And in terms of the real life stuff, while it's nice to kind of carry that stuff across, I'm not too concerned for these videos as to if it actually matches directly with real life. I'd rather just be telling people that we know is going to work in iRacing, rather than being like, hey, well, this is how you would do it in real life versus, oh, well, you do it differently here. Like, I want it to match real life, but if it doesn't and people know stuff that's better, then I'm cool with that. Just let me know.
Yeah, if we used like real life stuff exactly, it wouldn't always run that great because at the end of the day, it is lines of code.
Yeah.
So.
But
Try to
this
maximize
card
it.
does seem very, very restrictive in terms of what you can do. Way more so than I was expecting. I actually felt like with this being a top level dirt card, there'd be a ton of adjustment to it.
Yeah.
But there's really none.
Well, I feel like once you truly start to figure out like how to build these setups, it all becomes like very clear what you can and cannot do and network adjustments and such. But with how we are, like novices, pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, this is like I'm kind of learning along with everybody else, because I really don't know anything about this card.
14.07.
But I'm gonna try that right rear wheel adjustment after this run. Just because I want to.
13.88.
Snow what Bergeron always told you. That's cool.
What is it?
13.94.
What'd he say?
And Garrett saying he doesn't know much about this guy, just knows what Bergeron always told him.
Oh, fair. Yeah, same here. Same here, Garrett. You know,
14.
I wish Bergeron would get more credit for how good of a driver he is, because he really doesn't.
He's extremely fast.
Yeah, like really good.
13.9.
He's like the only one that I've ever raced against where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get beat like bad here. I'd say that's a lot for him.
Thank you for the follow, man. And yeah, the Dragon Wolf saying that from his short time in the sim, he's found sprints easier to build setups for compared to late model. Yeah, that was kind of when I said I was going to do this car. I was expecting an options page much more similar to the late model, because the late model I don't want to say I've messed with setups with it, but I've at least ran a couple of things where we've done open setups, and so I know that the garage screen for that car, there's a lot more to it. You are absolutely killing me right here.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
13.94.
I'm trying to do your triangle line, but I'm not like doing it well at all.
Yeah, it takes a while to really get down. Because it's like a totally different way of driving this far.
But you can kind of see how important line is, because we're on the same setup and he's pulling me quite significantly. Yeah, I'm finding that with that line, I'm kind of encountering a part of slick right off of 2 that's kind of messing me up every time.
Yeah.
13.82.
Yeah, there's a bump there right now on the exit of 2 that if you hit that, you're just gonna, you know, baja, essentially, just bounce like crazy.
13.93.
Oh. Yeah, that happens if you grab the wall.
Get it?
Oh yeah, killed it.
15.3.
And you do like completely break it, it seems.
Let's be ready here, guys.
Now, like I feel like there used to be a time where you could kind of take the wall down. In late models, you definitely used to be able to just destroy the wall. Working on sets for late model, just to recently realize it's missing the lower bars from the forelink.
Goodness.
Yeah, Bergeron's thing is that I don't think anybody's ever doubted that he's really, really fast. It's just kind of it's weird. I feel like if Bergeron came back to the Peak Series now, nobody would even really notice with kind of how he like his style is extremely aggressive, and I actually think that it'd probably fit in quite well now, and it'd just kind of go completely under the radar. It's just that at the time when he came through the Pro Series and everything, it was a different deal, and racing in that series was a lot different. There was a lot less aggressiveness, I think, and he was kind of the first person to be on that ultra aggressive side of things, and I think because of that, it just kind of hurt him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try this max wheel spacing.
Alright, I will too.
But yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. He reminded me a lot of, like in a good way, a lot of Ricky Stenhouse, because that's how Ricky drives. Except Ricky bounces into things every lap. But yeah, it's just like super aggressive, going for it all the time. Just people didn't really want to agree with that, I guess, at the time, and you know.
Whereas
just a different
now,
time in racing.
yeah. Whereas now, I honestly think if he came back, well, I think if he came back, he'd always struggle with what went before. But
yeah.
I don't think fundamentally people would see like if he came back under a new name, people wouldn't see it the same way.
But we
hey,
don't
Justin,
condone that action.
Thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, unless it's on dirt, in which case slider central.
Yeah, oh well.
Yeah, full send, 100%. We're trying to figure out 410 wing sprint car setups right here. And I kind of been given a rudimentary education onto it that there's pretty much not a lot you can change to the car. But what you can change is interesting.
I think
like
I broke my rear axle.
Do you want to go again?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, hey man, what's going on? I'm just trying a different wheel spacing on the right rear right here. We're going from minimum on the right rear wheel spacing to max.
13.88.
Yeah, definitely.
You broke?
Rear axle
Yeah,
there.
let's
Yeah.
let's go again. Let's, because I want to see.
I feel like that'd be really good with a max right rear bar.
Well, you can
spring.
try that, and I'm gonna go out on it with just the wheel spacer as it is. It gave a different feel. It was weird. It felt like the middle of the corner was actually tighter,
Yeah.
but the entry was not looser.
Yeah, it felt better. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's
the
interesting.
the interesting thing on lap times on dirt and like how you think stuff is gaining speed, blah blah blah. Sometimes what I found anyways, you'll go slower in testing, but it'll actually be like a lot faster in race. So this might be a thing where it might go a little bit slower while we're just running like with us two, but when the track is super dynamic and you need all the grip you can get, it's, you know, best thing since sliced bread.
Well, see, to me, it feels like the car actually does yaw out more with the wheel spacer like this, which was kind of what I was thinking it would do when we were talking about it near the beginning. But it also feels like when it does yaw out, it's more controlled.
For sure.
I don't feel like I'm having to fight. It might look like I'm having to fight the car more because there's more wheel movement going on, but it doesn't feel as aggressive. Like the snap is more controllable.
Yeah.
The thing that I find limits me a ton in these cars is the snap really frightens me, and because of that, I struggle to get pretty much on the line I want to be on because I'm focused more on not crashing the car than I am like driving it fast.
Fair. Yeah, I get that way sometimes too with this.
And I just put my wing the wrong way.
Oh no. What? Probably wrecked.
Like I moved it like right on corner entry and nearly died.
Goodness gracious.
14.07.
I definitely don't want to say that setups on these things are preference because I really don't feel like they are.
I would say they're all speed based.
Like, right rear.
14.06.
Just doing some dynamic adjustment of my right rear wheel spacing.
Oh, there you go. Check it on telemetry. And I'm running 852s and the track is not as fast as it was, so I'd say this is definite improvement.
I feel like I might want to go halfway on this. Because I don't like how much more you... I'm getting like raided by all sorts of people tonight. Thank you for the raid, Briar. We've had 3 raids all stream. It's pretty cool. And anybody new here, what we normally do is we normally do a bunch of racing, which, as most of the regular guys will know, tends to either descend into rage or really good battles, and pretty much nothing in between. So there's usually racing on here on a Monday,
14.06.
Monday, alternate Wednesdays, Thursdays, and some Sundays. And every 2 weeks we try and do a setup stream for a car. And I really do appreciate you guys rating the channel. It helps with kind of getting it out there to you people. So thank you for that. All 3 of you guys who've rated us so far. And thank you for the follow.
14.04.
If you have checked out, like I got like nothing for you.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of lap times are you running right now?
Slow. 14 hours.
14.06.
Oh, that's not bad.
Brett, he's half a straightaway ahead or more.
Oh my god.
He's like, that's
No
not
way.
bad.
Am I actually?
14.1.
Yeah,
I'm
look.
not looking. Oh, okay.
I'm like
Yeah, I
back
guess I
here.
am. Now I feel like a dick. Or
Nah.
jerk, sorry. Children, or family TV here.
14.07.
Or I could do the Lewis Hamilton and be like, this is the hardest I've ever had to drive, blah blah blah.
14.03.
Try getting the car to drive the corner with less sliding and less wheel play. Yeah, that's really what we're kind of going for. I'm just struggling to do that. The way I see it with these things is they should pretty much turn themselves, set themselves on the line, and then that should be kind of it. And that is the goal. I think he's going to run RTP next year. I'm assuming you're talking about Bergeron. And I feel like he probably should. He'd probably get on with the new car a lot more.
See, if he does road to pro and gets into peak, he's gonna have an advantage because he's so used to running a car that's very reliant on downforce. So
Yeah.
he's gonna be able to push the car harder than most people, I feel like, and that'll really play into his whole deal.
Really? Not you, Ashton. Thank you, Casey. We had like 4 people raid and 3 in the last like 20 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Like, I really do. And thank you for all the follows. Yeah, Casey, we're trying to do dirt and we're trying to do a 410 sprint car setup tonight. And it's kind of becoming apparent that I don't really know how to drive a 410 sprint car. So like Ashton definitely does, and I definitely don't. Some win last week. Winning what? I don't remember winning anything last week. I remember getting destroyed like every race I did last week and being on the point of like, I don't want to do this anymore.
That dang voodoo doll.
Yeah, that thing's still here. Like, it's still here. It still exists.
Oh, don't do that, please. Come on, man.
But literally, since that thing appeared that appeared on the Tuesday morning, and every race that week was terrible. Not even kidding.
If you want to demonstrate, or if you want to show like the difference between like running through slick and not, watch my like last 5 laps.
All right,
and
we'll do that.
yeah,
The
I had a
last
line.
5.
Yeah, and I had a line going where you go under the slick on entry, go up to the wall middle, and then run under the
I
slick
woke
on
it up.
exit.
Yeah.
So, in maybe real life terms too, but at least in iRacing terms, with how their dirt works at the moment, if you hit any bit of slick, you're giving up time.
Well, that's kind of how it's always felt for me. I'm gonna slow mo you because the noises. Yeah, that's pretty much how I've always felt. Every time I've ever driven any dirt, it's always felt like if I touch any of the slick parts of the track at all, instant time loss. But the difficulty I've always had with it is trying to get it where I can drive around those points, especially on exit. Like coming off a 4 here. Like, how do you get around that patch without either being in the wall or way too low? And yeah, I hope I didn't wake up the voodoo doll. Because if I did, I just threw it across the room and that thing's gonna be pissed.
Dude, the next race you do, you're gonna get junked lap 1.
Well, the next race I do is Sarah on Thursday.
Oh no. Sorry, man.
They're definitely dying in that one, I guess. But anyway, back to this. Yeah. In terms of, I guess, setup, I don't want to say that we're done, but I kind of feel like we've pretty much explained where all the speed might be in the car.
Yeah.
For the most part. It's just a case of now kind of getting it to a point where it actually handles a bit better. Because for me, I feel really too loose. Like I want the car to be a lot snugger. Now, I know we've said to flatten out all the wings and everything. And do you think that we even want to keep your front tires in the slick and keep the right rear on the edge? Yeah, that makes sense because I guess you'll lose all the bite from the nose, but you'll keep the drive on the right rear. That makes sense. I'll keep that in mind and try and do that. I'm gonna cut my steering ratio down a bit as well. I don't think that's helping me now. I think it was helping me when it was looser, but now I think it's hurting me. Yeah, wings. Sorry. I know we said we want top wing position is pretty much variable, and you just map it so that you can change it, and you definitely should do that. But in terms of nose and top wing like fixed angles, do you reckon there's any times you want to change those, or pretty much always minimums?
I would say always minimum until you get to a point where there's no other lane to run but the top, like on the wall. Because it's basically free speed you're giving up if you build drag into the car, and
right.
You know, building drag means building downforce, and yeah, it throws it all off.
So like on entry, I'm not trying to turn the car. The car is just turning itself.
Yeah.
But what I feel like that's costing me time.
I'd say so. But with the car turning itself, if you can keep it straight, like, it'll more than likely be faster.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still apparently in slow-mo for some reason. What is happening? There we go. And thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. And seriously, thank you guys for all the raids. Because it helps a ton with getting the channel out there and getting more followers and everything. I nearly deleted my setup then, that would be better. I'm going to go back down to the minimum right rear wheel spacing because for me it was definitely better. I'm going to try going up on the torsion bar diameter though.
Okay.
Based off what we were kind of saying before, should tighten it up.
You know what, see it, you see it, you see it, you see it. Front in front. I don't know where to go.
Although, it feels incredible levels of loose now. And like the massive slick patches on the exits of corners, I think is where I'm really struggling now. Trying to kind of avoid those.
14.14.
Yeah, that's what's tricky for me too. I think.
But in terms of getting off of like
14.2.
it's not so bad, but getting off of 2 is a problem.
Track definitely slowed down.
14.13.
Not as good as it used to be.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
$14.12. 14.15. $14.19. $14.20. 14.26.
I mean, sprint cars is like, well, to be honest, pretty much any open wheeler is like the thing I struggle in most. But this is about as out of my comfort zone as it's possible to be.
14.31.
This is an open wheel dirt car.
Shit. I'd say you're holding up quite well.
I actually like the feel I've got now. I'm pretty sure I'm not fast, but I like the handling of this. It feels pretty... Okay, I was gonna say it feels pretty easy, and then I nearly wiped out.
14.13.
I know it might not look like it because I feel like I'm executing it really badly, but my aim at the moment is to try and come off the corner below the slick.
Try running like straight wall 1 and 2. See what happens.
I'm gonna crash. I'll try it, but I know I'm gonna crash. Yep.
Oh no.
Like, honestly, this literally is, this is my
Get your fucking binoculars
absolute
out and look at it.
worst thing.
Checking right now, boss. Hold on.
Like, I have no issues admitting that I struggle really badly in this car.
That was
But
pretty
I like the feel of that. The feel overall was definitely much better for me, so I'm gonna go with that works. So that was going up on torsion bar and back down to like minimum wheel spacing. I'm keeping the top wing at 5.
I'm finding for me that having the right rear wheel spacing at max is better for me, but
Yeah, I can't really deal with it. Like,
You know,
it feels like it definitely yaws the car out having more wheel spacing.
yeah, that's for sure. That might be one of the handling adjustments that you can put in there if you want. I don't
What,
know
the
why
wheel
anybody would
spacing?
want. Yeah, on the
Yeah.
right rear. I don't know why anybody would want it looser, but you know, each their own.
I'm actually gonna I'm gonna try the left rear wheel spacing. I just want to see. Like, this sounds weird because I know I'm kind of going against what we sort of considered set and forgets were.
Mhm.
But I just want to try. Like, I'm trying to get a car to be nicely drivable, I guess is the way.
Yeah,
You gonna come out with me this time and put me to shame?
sure. You can go first.
I'm not going first.
Oh my god, just this
I'm gonna like
kindergarten,
drive
bro.
away. Like, I'm not going first.
I'll probably put the right rear in the wall or something. Could see it.
But I'm just thinking that this track state is actually probably pretty close to the 40 lap race. So getting it right in this might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Although the car always feels horrible in the first lap, I've noticed.
14.3.
It just has a ton of fuel in it.
It's the wall.
That's upsetting.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that the left rear adjustment is a good idea. I thought it might tighten it up, but it doesn't seem to have really done anything
14.4.
other than make the change in entry and exit more brutal.
Yeah.
14.46.
Let me go back and find my line where I was coming up the corners lower. 'Cause right now this is evil.
14.29. 14.26.
Yeah, would not recommend the left rear wheel spacing.
Big support of that. And I ran a 9 flat last time.
I'm glad for you. I ran an 077.
Oh damn.
Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, I'm taking that out. That was
14.18.
crappy. Okay, so at least we know. Or at least I know that for me, that doesn't help. I'm gonna try going back up on that wheel station on the right rear. Just because you seem to be really making it work.
Mm.
Whereas I'm not. I'm gonna try that.
I mean, it does feel a little bit sketchy, but it turns the car so smoothly that
Yeah.
like you can flip your wheel around a little bit.
What's your wing angle at, by the way?
5.
Okay. I just feel like I'm having to make overall too many corrections.
Yeah,
14.22.
definitely is on the sketchy side.
Yeah. I can't do it. Like legit, that ain't happening. I'm going back to 16.
Okay.
Do you feel like there's got to be a way where I can get more grip out of this thing?
I've been wondering that for the past year, honestly. Don't
I'm trying to
really
go
know.
down to 12 stagger. I think I might be murdering myself doing that, but I just want to try it. Like it just feels like it's over. It just turns too much for me.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Inside,
Oh, he
inside.
hit me.
Clear. 14.7.
5-second penalty. That's my corner and all that.
14.75. 14.49. 14.45. Fourteen point two three. 14.16.
So I do overall kind of feel more comfortable, but it might be hurting me on exit now, I think.
14.15.
I'd say if it makes you feel even a slight bit more comfortable to use it, the more comfortable you are, the faster you'll be.
14.24.
More consistent time.
At the moment, I'm just unable to run high at all, because as soon as I get in the slick, the wheel just kicks around.
Yeah.
14.11.
Like, I want to, like, this is probably really frustrating to watch, because I want to stay out of the slick, and I'm not going into it because I want to. I'm going into it because the car just ends up there. I was watching you.
Jeez.
Like, that's my thing, like, I was actually going better when I went up to the wall there, but then as soon as I do that, then I'm in the wall. Like, I get, like, 2 laps of running there, and then I grab it.
It's a fine line. And I still hit an 8, so, like, setup's, like, really good, I feel like.
Share me that bet, because I just want to try yours.
Yeah, I changed the shocks a little bit.
Okay.
And just min-max mastered them, you know, the usual.
Min-max.
There you go.
Should be 2. Okay, yeah, there we go. Alright, I'll try this again. As you can pretty much see, though, the vast majority of this is being in the right line. And Ashton's doing a much better job of that than I am. I mean, it's true, dude. Like, you're pulling me, like, every run by significant margins.
I don't know. Well, I haven't been looking at, like, any time intervals or my mirror or anything, but... yeah, you can easily give up like 3-4 tenths by not hitting the line right. Pretty crazy.
14.5.
It's actually like usually the first kind of 5 or so laps that you walk me by a ton. And then I don't want to say it flattens out, but it feels like it does a bit. Or at least I'm not losing out that much.
14.5.
Unless I do that, that's not fun.
Yeah.
14.46. Inside inside. 14.58, clear. Outside. Clear. .3. Inside, clear low.
I just feel like at the moment I'm just fighting the car too much.
When it's up on the wall like this, it's stupidly sketchy. But yeah, like if we ran this in like zero, oh no, we ran this in like zero track, it'd be really good. I feel like.
I can believe that. It'd probably be a good heat setup then.
Yeah.
14.59.
Oh, rip, got a meatball.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, I was trying to wall it so I didn't kill you. Oh yeah. Your axle is like inverted.
Do you reckon the track is still getting slower?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It'll reach a
I
point.
was definitely getting like I'm getting even slower the more running we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the track like it'll start to slick off like more and more and more, and then eventually it'll reach a point where the cushion is such a big deal, and it's so big to where you'll pick up like 3-4 tenths.
Yeah.
But then that cushion will start to fall off, and then you'll go back to just being slow. Or not slow, but, you know, the track slowing down.
I'm going to save yours as it is. As, like, the one that we'll use. Because what I think we should do now is go to the queue session. Try and do something with queue. Because we got multiple ones of these up. Because what the original plan was is that we would spend like a bit of time in here doing the 40 lap, and then we go and do the 25, the 15, and the queue. The 25 and the 15 we'll still do, but we'll probably only do like small tests of them. I'm thinking that realistically there's going to be pretty much no difference between the 40 and the 25. The 15 and the queue, what we'll do is we'll do the queue, and then in the queue room we'll do the 15 as well, because the 15, like this track state for the 15 lap heats is going to be similar to that of the queue, I expect. Or if it's not, we've always got the option of going to another session that we've got up that should be a clean track. We could do that.
For sure.
We have that saved, so for the Q one, you want to go to the one that's 50% track state.
I'll let you join it first, so I don't join the wrong one.
But I am really kind of learning this, like, as we go. Like, as you can see, this is absolutely not my strong suit. I think about the only thing I'm more uncomfortable in was probably the IndyCar at Detroit. But I mean, that's okay. Like, I hate to struggle on something where we're trying to help people out, but at the same time, I think there's value in people seeing me struggle, as weird as that sounds. Like in a lot of stuff I see where people are doing tutorials and stuff and that kind of thing, you never see them struggle. You just see them like, oh, you do this, and then this happens. And it's like, that's cool and all. but you know that the reality of that is that they did 15 attempts of that to get to that end one, you know. So point I'm trying to make is everybody struggles.
User joined your channel.
So it's not really a what's it?
User was moved out of your channel.
It's not realistic to think that you can just load up a new car, go, oh, that does that, and then get it perfect the first try. Like, it takes a long time to really have these cars down.
What cars do I normally run? Well, I guess primary is Cup car because we're on Peak Series, and I would definitely say that's probably what I'm best in. And then outside of that is GT cars. I'd say that the GT stuff that I'm best in right now is GTE.
Hey, wake up. User was moved to your channel.
I also do a little bit of running sometimes in GT3 cars and then occasionally in the Porsche Cup. And normally the Porsche Cup is about the limit in terms of like kind of out there stuff that I run because that car does drive quite differently. It wins big super, and super late models as well. We do a lot of that, and the guys who watch this channel a lot will know that the super late model races can really be one end of the scale or the other in terms of they can either be really really good or they can be absolutely horrendous. Like last week, absolutely horrendous. Irwindale, where I was racing Novak and we had a wicked battle, that was awesome. But yeah, this is like open wheel in general on road. I struggle with open wheel, and I doubly struggle with open wheel on dirt. Yeah, I was really pleased with World GT. That was really, like, I didn't expect to qualify second at all in that, and I was glad that I was pretty much able to hang on in the Porsche for third. That series has been really fun. I've been enjoying that a lot. So yeah, this is pretty much the opposite end of the scale as to the stuff that I'm used to. But the only similarity is the track is kind of oval shaped. That's like literally it. For queue, the way the majors has 4-lap queue, but I'm thinking that realistically, you're gonna want to do 2 runs of 2. I think. Now,
I agree.
Now, how low can we go in this car? We can go to 2 liters. So, 2 liters, 2 gallons even. And it's 0.667, so we need 3 laps. So, we actually do need 3 gallons. We're going to immediately save that as qual. Even though I haven't made any changes to it yet. My 6 months on iRacing was spent in sprints, so I stuck with late miles. That's kind of like 15 for those. Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I don't pretend at all to be an expert in these cars. Far from it. But hey, I figure I feel like I have an expert in the room here with me, so.
Oh man.
Oh man. But thrown down there. Now, in terms of the Pacific Majors right now, if I load up the qualifying, in fact I can do that on screen. Right, so this is the qualifying sheet. I don't know if you can see, but the fastest time right now is 13.866, and I'm pretty certain I'm not gonna go and beat that, but Ashton might. So our goal here is to try and get down to that time because the weather that we're doing this in is exactly the same as that server. So we're aiming.
801.
So we're aiming big, and really, okay.
Yeah, this is really fast. Like incredibly fast.
Well,
actually.
Q session is over. We've already done.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
But no, seriously, we're gonna try and keep making this better.
That was funny. I did that laugh and I was like, man, that was super slow. And then I realized, oh, wait. That's crazy.
Okay, I'm like insanely loose. I'd have to set the wall.
I suppose we're going to be taking here in about 5.
Huh?
Wait a minute.
Go to
Deborah.
negative 10.
Good job.
Okay. You
I
can be,
think
oh,
I'll take
I've gone the wrong way. Like immediately, like pushed the thing the opposite way. 2-part question: what's your favorite road car and track combination, and what is your favorite oval car and track combination? Favorite road car, as much as I struggle with it right now, is Porsche 911 Cup. Like absolutely no doubt. Track combo, so I guess with that car as well. I guess my favorite track to drive that on is probably Watkins Glen Boot. It seems to suit it really, really well. What's my favorite oval car and track combo? Now that's harder. I'm yeah, of course. I'm gonna have to answer with Cup. But in terms of what's my favorite, Homestead, easy.
Okay, so mine is a Snetterton with the Porsche Cup or whatever. That one.
No, that's you mean in the RSR, not the Cup.
No, I'm saying in the Cup.
You drove it in the Cup?
Yeah, best thing ever. And
really?
Then,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then favorite oval car, probably super late model at 5 Flex. And that's the last one's enough.
Thank you for the sub, Robbie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
See, I was hoping you would be like, Snetterton,
Go high. Go high.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you said Snetterton is horrible. I'm way too on the wheel for this to be first.
14.71. Repent here in a couple.
Dude, what line are you running?
The fence, baby.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should try that then. You can try to cut down. That is really, really bad. I'm also a notoriously bad qualifier. So keep that in mind. Got down to 14.0.
Oh yeah, here let me just show you this. What I did was I put the rear stagger to 14 to create some more. I don't want to call it pseudo grip, but for some reason, more stagger and more wheel spacing, it works. And then the wing position is trunked, but you know.
All right, well we'll try that.
Yeah. Totally forgot about that. It's my bad.
No,
But,
you good.
Yeah, I mean, if I hit an 801 with it, although that was like a really good lap, it's definitely faster. I feel like, anyway.
I mean, are you hitting on your first lap or your second as well? I'm pretty sure the first lap in dirt is always going to be the quickest.
Usually it's the second.
Oh, really?
Because of momentum. Yeah, but just because of momentum. It was on my first lap.
13.94.
Like, I can't, like, get up on that cushion.
Dude, it's hard.
Like, this is nails difficult.
Like,
but 939, I'm kind of
surprised.
like okay with. I'm gonna keep making a couple more attempts at this. Do you think there's anything we could do at all to make it faster?
Like wing degrees, like those settings.
Okay.
Probably mess with those a little bit.
Definitely running as close to the wall as possible seems to be the way, although I definitely think I've just ended too late.
13.96. $13.92.
Okay, we're getting closer. I'm gonna try adding some rear wing only.
Yeah, I would say front wing would cause too much drag. At least for my liking.
I'm gonna try adding 2 degrees of top wing just to get a bit more drive.
Yeah. You want it to once you like when you get to the cushion it starts to bite. And it does that, but yeah, it's almost not enough.
Ah. I'm definitely making like too many corrections.
14.04.
But I think that was better. I'm gonna go again just to see. Well, the reason I say I think it was better is because on my first lap it definitely felt like the car was biting harder coming off the corner. Like it did seem like it was actually losing a bit of speed, like outright, but it felt easier on the first lap. The second lap, no. Yeah, definitely. I just went over the cushion. This is gonna end up being a pretty haphazard video, so I'll probably when it goes to YouTube put like timestamps and stuff in.
There.
Just so that people don't have to. That's it.
Those wing adjustments made it slower, but it seemed like half a
Slowing on
tenth
the
difference
bottom. I don't know what
on that
happened.
range.
Chewy. Go high.
So
Go
it's
high.
definitely low drag.
Your brain doesn't move fast enough for these guys. Mine either. Like, that's my problem with open wheel. Literally can't process. I feel like that's why I'm good in Cup, is that it's all about just minimum movements. And I don't want to say being slow, but kind of being slow. It's like everything has to be really smooth. And this just frightens me. Like, I always feel like I'm going to hit the wall. Now, for me, I'm only ever going faster on my first lap, so I'm thinking I'm going to go down to 2 gallons. Hi.
Hi.
Right, wingless. I do enjoy wingless, although probably even worse in wingless. Decided to completely mount the cushion there. But these my brain is right over like there. Well, we've probably done over 200 laps tonight easily.
Wheeling.
There is a car that I'm worse in than these, and it's the Dirt Midget. When I say I can't drive the Dirt Midget, I literally mean can't drive it.
But bring it around a pit. Make sure you got your brakes where you
I
need
think we
them.
might have
Coming to pit
destroyed
road.
the track.
14.06.
Gosh, I'm trying to wheel
Are
so
you
hard.
able to go faster right now, or is the track gone?
1 and 2 is fine, but there's like a rut on the cushion in 3 and 4, and it's losing about a half a tenth, I'd say. Because, nah, probably more like
Did you
a
keep
10.
the wing angle in, or did you take it out?
I took it out.
So you're back
But,
on 24.
Yeah, 22, 24, I think it is. I'm gaining a half a tenth in 1, but once I get to 3, there's a bump, and it breaks traction. So there's really nothing I can do. I can run lower, but I'll go slower.
Yeah. I can't get speed off of 2 now.
You're gonna hate me for saying this, but I think you were running too low.
I believe it, and thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, like I was saying, my biggest thing in these cars is that being frightened of the wall seems to be everything. And I have this thing where I get frightened I'm gonna hit it, and then I kind of pull the wheel down, and then it flips back the other way, and then I panic even more. and you must be able to see it on stream.
Yeah.
They're against the wall.
I feel
like right there.
I feel like you gotta train your brain to be frightened that you're not close enough to the wall. Like, you have to completely reverse your thinking.
Pretty much. Although that was absolutely
14.05.
powerful.
Stay high. Stay high.
Ooh.
Inside. Clear.
That was close.
I definitely think if people are struggling with this, that going up on the rear wing angle 2 degrees is a good shout. Because for me, it's working, or it was working. There's definitely more raw speed at minimum wing angles. But as you can see, it's not the easiest thing to drive.
The track is consistently dying more and more and more and more and more, too. So it's only getting harder to drive.
Come on. Complete the lap. Complete the lap. Yes.
13.85. Car stops on the bottom.
How about that?
Going on the bottom, real slow. Stay up top, man.
Don't mind you, just scouting the opponents. Well, this setup is going to be available on my Discord for free for everybody. So, yeah.
17.2.
Both, well, I say both, but the race set, the Q set, the heat set, and the last chance race set we're going to put up there. You already queued? Okay. Because we're messing with Q right now. I will save that as the Q set. So yeah, as you can see, if you can hold on to it, then the 24 top wing is better than 26. But 26 was, I felt like, much easier to drive for me.
Like, I don't want to say it's like super good, but it feels like it. I haven't had a setup drive like that in like a long time.
I mean, we're faster than the pole time right now.
Yeah.
The pole time is 8:66.
Oh yeah, true.
And I just realized, could everybody see the screen then? Because I had it on the wrong capture thing. I don't know if you could. I'm assuming you could.
The iRacing.
Yeah, I always forget to flip it back. Yes, okay, cool. Good. Because I don't have it like automatically switching scenes and so on. I just have like a hotkey that I can press to go between the iRacing window capture and the desktop like display capture, and I can it doesn't ever appear correctly for me, so I'm always hoping it appears correctly for everybody else. Are you doing Americas or EU? I'm doing EU. So at the moment, Americas has the fastest time with 8:66. European has a 14:475, but with only 4 people. international has 14.378. So America's definitely has the quickest time. Don't look at your queue time. I've already seen it. So, apologies. I just realized I had it the wrong way around. I was trying to have a queue times up. But this is the exact weather as queue, so as you can see, this is not slow. I feel like this would be a good one to test the 25 lap constellation in. Well, actually no, we said we weren't going to do that. So let's do 15 heat. I'm just going to change the fuel on the constellation one because it's 25 lap race and the usage is, I'm just going to do 25 divided by 40 and get out that way.
How much fuel? 15?
For what?
For like the
oh, I had them wrote down, didn't I? Yeah, we need 11 gallons for the 15 lap, and we need 17 gallons for the 25 lap. So I'm just gonna resave the 40 lap set as the 25. I really don't think that needs any work. I think that's totally fine. So the only thing I would say is you might want to start with your top wing position. -10. And yeah, set seems pretty fast, so big thanks to people in chat for suggestions tonight, as well as Ashton for agreeing to do this with me. It does seem like it's pretty handy.
Yeah, huge ups to Garrett, dude. He came in.
And Garrett was there with the torsion bar diameters and the wheel spacing for sure.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man, Garrett knows what's up. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we really do. And actually, since we've got 40 people watching right now, if anybody has experience with, you could have seen your dirt setup matrix. If anybody has experience with other cars and is inclined to, wants to come on stream and do a setup video of something with me, then please reach out and let me know, because there's a bunch of other cars that I don't know enough on to do myself, and that's kind of why the past couple of ones of these I've been trying to do them as 2-person deals. So like the truck and the super late model, we had Dallas, and now with the 410 winged, we've had Ashton do that with us. So there's a couple of things that I'd like to get to. For example, like the 919 and the R18 hybrid cars. I don't know enough about them to like do those cars on my own. So I could do with a helper for those. And if I was ever to go into doing a setup for, say, Indy cars or so on, I'm again looking for a helper with those. So if there's anybody who's watching who is a competent setup builder in those cars and would like to do a dual stream with me, please let me know. I'd be happy to have you on here with me.
You get Kerwin on, and he can just share you his sets that he runs at DWC, and
don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Nah.
Right, so let me just make sure I saved that correctly. So 17 gallons for that, and then we need 11 gallons for the 15 lap.
Listen to what you were saying there. With the time of year coming up, you might be able to find somebody for the Xfinity car too.
Yeah.
That's going to be big in a month or two, I'd say.
Speak to Liam about the IndyCars. Yeah, I did consider Liam for that. I've just been meaning to hit him up. Like, there's a couple of people I've got in mind for stuff. Like, I was gonna hit Cy up about the P1 cars. It's either gonna speak to Cy or Robert Radical to see if they wanted to do that. Yeah, Liam for IndyCar was definitely one I was gonna consider for that too. What wheel am I running? I use Leo Bodner SS2 with the MPI 14.0, I think is the wheel. The actual rim. I want to make sure I didn't just accidentally save over all my setups. Right, yeah, so 15 lap setup. And we're going to do that in this condition. Check Discord. I'll check it in a second. Right, Ashton, I'm sharing what I'm pretty sure this is our race set, just with 11 gallons in it.
I'm gonna run the Q set with 11 gallons and see if it handles better, something like that.
Okay.
Because I feel like that 14 Stagger did a ton for speed and handling.
Hey, Dakota, thank you for the thing. Just seeing. Yeah, so for people interested in in more stuff dirt sprint car, Dakota's just posted a matrix for changes in the Discord. Which if you're not on the Discord, you can click through via the link that should be under the video. It's just a big panel that says Discord. If you're on mobile, you'll have to kind of do it from desktop, or you'll have to go through info and stuff. But you can get to the Discord, and that's on there. Also, all the old setups, all my 911 setups, both Cup and GTE RSR, are all on Discord as well. So that includes all the setups I run for World GT and IMSA. Pretty much everything that I race right now, setup-wise, goes on Discord, with the exception of super late models, because I don't build them, Dallas does, and the Cup Series stuff, because that's a group effort again. Anything I build solo, or people allow me to, I try and post pretty much everything I race on there, which at the moment is exclusively road stuff. But yeah, you should definitely check out Discord. Anyway. This I believe is our last thing. Should be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've definitely got the right thing. Good to go. Well, we will be. Let me just put my gloves on.
Oh, the gloves.
The gloves
are on.
I need a new set of gloves as well at some point. I just wear through them super fast.
I'll send you my old Alpine Stars gloves.
You're good, bro. Let's just get myself another set. Alright, I'm ready. You lead, as I said.
No. What kind of gloves do you use?
I use Alpine Stars.
There you go.
Tech 1K carding gloves. Because who needs fireproof when you're in your, room?
True.
I mean, what if your computer shorts out and your wheel catches on fire and your hands are on it?
I think by the fact that I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, the fireproof abilities of my hands is probably negligible.
It'll save your hands, just not your knees.
Putting that top wing way back.
.68. 14.13.
I will say that I'm glad that Ashton isn't running this, because otherwise I'd have absolutely zero chance of finishing inside the top 5.
Good. Oh, I'm not having it good.
I'm not out of control, I can't.
14.3.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that for the heats, you're probably gonna want to run the top.
More than likely, yeah.
The consolation and the main feature is probably gonna be more about wherever you can find any grip left on the track, using that slider line that we showed earlier. Hello.
Oh no, bro. My race is done. Dang.
Alright. So this drive's okay as is, but with the top wing all the way back. And I don't like that, because it means that there's very minimal changes we can make in race.
Sorry for the wreck, by the way.
I wouldn't worry about it, man.
Hey,
We're good.
wake up.
See, that's gonna be the thing. If it starts to, we'll just say rut up, it's gonna be super hard to run the top.
Yeah.
Because it's gone that way in 1 and 2 as well, where it's like stupid bumpy.
Yeah, and I think, I guess my advice for heats, Consolation
Hey,
is going to
wake
be a little bit different, because Consolation you're going to have to fight to try and get into transfer spots. But for heats, you're going to have to really just try and not crash, which sounds stupidly obvious, I know, but you can see there Ashton is way faster than I am, but he hit the wall a couple of times and came right back to me. And if you think that if the speed difference is going to be smaller than that, relative to people around you, remember you've only got 15 laps and there's going to be no yellows. So if you wipe out, you're done. So I would just say be safe. Like, obviously if you're fighting for the last transfer spot, then you're going to have to maybe want to go for it a bit. But definitely I'm going to try and just stay out of the wall.
15 laps is more than enough to mess up. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I know I'm not perfect, but like, you know, there's gonna be people hitting the wall.
Yes, absolutely. Is there anything I can do to just get a bit of bite out of the car? I actually liked the higher stagger of the Q set, so I'm gonna try 13 stagger in the rear just for this. If you're in the first 2 heats, you should be fine. Track is gonna be the earlier heats that you're in, the easier life's gonna be for you, because the fresher the track's gonna be. Coming out.
Oh shit.
Also, I guess I'm gonna do a practice start.
Yeah, sorry, I was watching X Games there for a second, zoned out. Base car is off.
Sorry.
Just chill.
Just don't do what you did at Knox. Yeah, well, the one thing I would say is that restarts in this car are definitely not a trivial thing. As Dallas found out last year at Knox, when he gassed up and flipped over. So, yeah, yeah, he gassed up and flipped over. It was quite funny.
Oh my god, I didn't know that was possible.
Well, he was on like a really rutted up track, so like that was the thing last year. Nobody had kind of really driven on tracks that were super rutted up with a full field and whatnot, and the heats were quite wild because of that, especially the last chance queues and stuff.
14.42.
That's actually.
Believe me, he didn't find it quite so funny when it happened. I'm pulling my wing back.
Inside. Clear.
That was outrageous.
Outside. Quarter. Clear.
Like, I know I was saying about sliders and whatnot, and how you have to just sort of let them happen, but I was completely out of the gas, and it still hit you.
Dude, that's NASCAR for you.
How much damage would that do? Like, if somebody slides across your nose, and even though you're trying to back off, and you still hit them, like, how much damage does that do? Is it enough to affect you? Or? Are they
that
pretty
right
durable?
there, that right there wouldn't have done anything. Did that do anything?
14.44.
Both of our cars still drive the same, I think.
Yep, I'm still all over the place.
One inside. Clear low.
And that's more like it.
Keep digging, buddy. Like 4 or 5 more. Outside. 14.58.
Yeah, I don't think the stagger was a good idea because now I'm tight all the way until the very exit of the corner and then it's like snapping around.
14.46.
Although
Yeah.
it actually feels pretty good now. Or maybe I just sucked it right.
Inside. Still there. Clear. 14.28. Outside.
Keep
Clear
getting off
now.
the flick. Good slider. Kill myself.
Gonna be pitchy here in about 2 or 3 laps, bud. 14.54.
I mean, these cars are a ton of fun. But they're also kind of crazy.
Yeah,
This would be 15, by the way.
Hustle around a pit. Hustle around a pit this
it
time.
just gets kind of frustrating running the wall
14.53.
Yeah.
for me.
I'm just trying to do it like how we would in the actual.
Yeah.
Get pole, win, heat 1, die on lap 5 feels bad. Yeah. It's very easy to do though. So I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. I think this I think the stagger is just going to be after something you decide for yourself. Because the beginning part of that run I felt really all over the place with 13. But by the end I felt pretty good. I guess I'm gonna do one run where I try 12 now. And then we'll probably decide from there. You want to do one more?
Sure.
Because I really don't think we need any changes to the 25 lap. 25 versus 40 laps is so inconsequentially different, really.
Inside. 14.55. Clear. Outside. Clear high.
Ah.
14.6. .79.
Would you say it's fair to say that the more wore out the track is, the less stagger you probably want?
I would
Or-
say so, yeah.
Okay.
.38.
This feels pretty easy to drive with 12 in, so I'm actually probably going to go back to the... I'm definitely going to go to the 25 lap setup and put that to 12.
14.34.
Just
Yeah, I
because
know I'm
those
on
guys
14.
will be on...
I'm struggling.
Yeah, those guys will be on a roughed up track.
14.3.
Yeah, this is much easier to drive.
.26.
I've actually got back to you. That must be the first time tonight.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I am low on drivability right now.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. I had confidence and then I died. Yeah. That seems to be... Okay, we'll just crash into the wall. That's a good way to stop the car too.
Got no brakes.
It just won't stop. In terms of adjustments, I think I think this setup is pretty good. Just depending on the track state, you want to change stagger. So the fresher the track is for your heat, the higher you can go on stagger. Literally, probably all the way to 14. The more wore out it is, definitely I would go down. I'm gonna resave. I'm gonna save this one for the 15 laps as 12.5 because I think definitely if it was fresher, 12.5 would have been better than 12 because there I felt almost too tight. I'm gonna resave the race sets both as 12 though. Certainly the 40 lap one. I would definitely suggest even trying the 40 lap set with 11.5. That seems to be the biggest noticeable change I've had in the car all night. With the exception of that wheel spacing, but I'm convinced that the wheel spacing being 19 is faster. Pretty much everything is suggested. And once I kind of figured out how to drive it, I was better with it like that. Q though is going to stay at 14 because that was fast. Although feel free to play with that as well yourself. But I think we're pretty much done here. I mean, Ashton, you got anything that you'd maybe want to add in terms of adjustments that they could do for balance? No, I've said about the rear stagger. Is there anything else that you can think?
I mean, you could change the wing angle, but problem is you're just going to give up a ton of speed doing that. I just don't think it's worth it, but I'd definitely say stagger would more than likely be the way you would want to go if you're trying to make handling adjustments, but yeah, I really can't think of anything else.
Is the rear wing position the only adjustment you can make on the track?
Yeah. Change. And actually, I've just gone back to the 40 laps and the 25 laps setups, and I've just changed them so that they start with default of -7 wing instead of -5, just because the track I think will be more wore out at those points. The 15 lapper I've got set as -5, and then Q, I think Q actually goes -10. So, but Q is Q. You kind of figure out what works best for you on that. For me, though, the two things where I can really notice differences is the top wing position and the rear stagger. So if you want to fix up some balance, I definitely play with those. And yeah, the tire spacing, wheel spacing thing. Initially I was of the opinion that kind of was a feel thing, but once I figured out how to drive the 19 right rear wheel spacing, I'm convinced that that's just outright better. So I probably wouldn't change that. And to be honest, there's not really much other than the top wing position and rear stagger that I would change for balance. And again, that just depends on where you are in terms of track state. Did you start track at 0? In the first session that we did, we started at 0. In this one, we started in the Q state, which was 50%. So that might play into it a little bit.
I got an honest question for you, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
When you're driving the sprint car like this, right, do you feel like you've got to wheel it more, even though your steering wheel doesn't turn a whole lot, compared to, say, a super late model on a short track on old tires, or?
It's different. The wheel snaps far more aggressively on this than it does on a super. So it's the super wears me out because there's a lot of, like, if I just hold my wheel up, there's a lot of doing this with the super. Like, you have to be really cranked over on the wheel a ton, and that kind of just wears me out. Whereas in say this and the cup, it's a lot more around center, but with it being around center as it is, it's really like
Fidgety.
it moves a ton, but it's more the speed at which it moves and rotates rather than the outright actual movement of it. So it's just a different kind of difficult.
Different kind of wear and tear, but do you feel like would you say they kind of wear even, like, make you feel evenly tired? I mean, I know the sprint car has like a lot less laps.
I think the super makes me feel way tireder.
Okay.
Because there's so much of holding the wheel like in the same position and just pretty much resisting it from one end to the other. Gotta say that usually the iRacing warning tracks are a little tighter than actual warning tracks. Yeah. We actually spoke a little bit about that before we started the stream, where we were saying that the track states, the iRacing track states, don't really match particularly well with what happens when you drive them yourself. And the initial line on a lot of the iRacing tracks is basically wrong. Because, like, you think for this 50% track state with normal people driving it, the wall is going to be ruined. So for it to be the fastest queue line is still a bit surprising to me. And to be honest, we've noticed that with absolutely everything. Even normal pavement stuff, the line and the way the rubber goes down is different. I know a couple of us were talking about the super late model stuff, and we were saying it's almost like on pavement where the initial starting track. So like if you have 100% starting state on pavement stuff, you can see like the line is there and it's like really rubbered in and everything. But then when that line gets hot, it's almost like the rubber that's down is like from a different tire compound to what you're running on, and it just acts in a different way. The cushion works more in iRacing generated tracks. I didn't know that, but that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was saying last night. Like, it's almost like it's from the big cushion build. Like,
yeah,
really steep.
Probably is. Just trying to get through to the Twitch page. But I think we're done here. I think we've shown that the queue set's pretty handy. The race set feels pretty good. The heat set then is basically the race set with less fuel, and that felt pretty good to me when we just ran it. The 25 lap set is a little bit of an unknown. Yeah, we haven't ran it. That said, the difference is going to be stagger and wing position, so you're probably going to want to adjust that based on your own feelings and what you want to get. So feel free to do that. I will post all of these setups into the Discord, so they'll all be there for you to grab and use and out-qualify and beat me on Sunday, as I expect some people probably will. But that's absolutely fine. I'm more than okay with that. If it helps people out, then that's great, and that's really what we're going for here. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be mighty upset with myself if somebody beats me with my own setup. When I say mine, it's really community, because it's like, it's my idea to do these, but realistically the setup was put together by Ashton and Garrett in the chat, really. So thank you to both of those. Thank you for Ashton to agreeing to do this, coming on the stream. I do appreciate it, and I think it helps, and I think it makes them a lot more watchable because it's better than having just me talking the whole time. And I know we always kind of lose our way a little bit in the middle, but I think we always get to a pretty good end result. And I think at least this time we've managed to prove that with times. So I'm happy with that. And yeah, if you're interested in racing this, I think you can still sign up for the Majors series, and you can come race it on Sunday. You do have to qualify in. That's how they do splits and so on. But you won't miss the race, if that makes sense. You can qualify into a split, and then you can turn up on Sunday and you can race. And they've got multiple time slots for it. They've got like an Australian friendly time slot, a US friendly time slot, and then an EU friendly time slot as well. I run the EU one. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Again, thank you to Ashton for coming on and doing this. I really do appreciate that. And if anybody's got any desire to come and do this themselves with another car, then please let me know. I'm always looking for people. And also, has anybody got any suggestions for a raid? Because we had 4 raids today, and again, a ton more followers. So I appreciate everybody who came and raided, and I appreciate the guys who stayed after the raid. That's really cool. And I'd like to kind of give that back. I feel like you had that ready, Ashton.
Oh, no. Never.
And Minecraft, really? Is there anybody streaming iRacing?
Oh my god. What's up with the Minecraft hate, man? You alright?
I have no hate in Minecraft. I really like it, but I just like to stream somebody else in the iRacing category because, hey, that's what.
Yeah. If you want to do dirt, Big C's streaming.
All right, I'm down for that. Can you link me his channel?
Yeah.
All right.
Big C races on a controller, so.
He races on a controller?
Yeah, big time wheelman. Yeah, he's really good actually. Yeah.
That's impressive. If you're good racing on a controller.
Yeah, he's way better than me.
Oh yeah, he's doing dirt right now. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. Pick a channel. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who came out to watch. I appreciate the guys who came and followed, and I hope you will come back for Super Late Models tomorrow night. And Super Late Models is either really, really good and we have great battles, or I rage. So you kind of win either way, and I lose one way or the other, really. that's kind of how that works. And yeah, I'll see you guys there.